Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Brand Builder series. Today we have a very special guest with us, Navarrus Hale. He happens to be a financial professional. He's done a lot of advising with various different clients, as well as assisting various individuals in areas of tax as well. But I would also like to give him the opportunity to further give context and background into his particular industry. So the floor is yours, Navarrus.
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Navarrus Hale. I've been in personal finance since 2020. I first got introduced. I was working out a retirement community, which is funny, and um, basically all of them they were talking about stocks, talking about bonds, talking about how much they had to get it, how much they had to have in order to get into the facility, and it really got me. It got me interested into personal finance. I also was getting married, and so every single person I was getting married told us to work on our finances, and that's what kind of drew me into personal finance. Yeah.
Okay. So even just, in the brand builder series, we do kind of like to just even get, some early, history. So, just kind of give the people a little bit of a background about, where you're from, where you're raised, and, that early journey as well.
Yeah, so I was born originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So that's where I was born. I kind of tell people that I was mainly raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and in Indy, so Indianapolis, Indiana. So half of my childhood I was in Indy, and the other half I was in the ATL. So um, yeah, I made it back up to Indiana after high school, graduating high school from Georgia, and I've been in Indiana since 2013 now. So it's been 11 years. So yeah, I would say I'm a Indianapolis native, Indiana native. Yeah, I'm the oldest child of four. Mom had me at 14. Um, yeah, mom had me at 14, went to school at IB Tech in Fort Wayne. Then I went to school at IUPUI in Indianapolis as far as college goes. And yep.
Okay, nice. So in the intro, I heard you, mention how, it was really that experience, at the senior living community that kind of initially sparked that interest in the particular, areas of finance and things of that nature. But can you kind of just lead us on the journey that you went on, after that first initial spark, was lit, what was the
Yeah.
journey like after that?
Yep. Yeah. So it's interesting. So I remember back, I'm gonna take you back 2017. 2017, I was working at the YMCA, and it was back then it was kind of like you saw cars, you saw houses, and so you was just astonished and excited what people had. And um, basically, it was a couple that gave me, or they didn't give. I think they wrote it down. They wrote down a book called "The Total Money Makeover." It was by Dave Ramsey, and so long story short, I looked at it and was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool, whatever." Never read the book, right? This back in 2017, and then fast forward two to 2.5 years later. Um, basically we had it was basically when I proposed and we were about to get married, it was funny that everybody kept saying like, "Hey, make sure you work on your finances, work on your finances, work on your." So I was just like, "Wow, what's up?" They was like, "Hey, you probably like most people get divorced because of this finance thing. It's either financial infidelity or infidelity, so it may be one of the two." And so um I essentially was like, okay, let me work on this finance thing. I started to get a little bit interested in it. And then, like I said, I saw the residents that how much money they had to even have. Like they told me it was like $250,000 for the deposit. And then they told me, hey, we got to pay rent too. I said, wow. So you got to put down a $250,000 deposit and then you got to pay $2,400 for rent. I'm like, how much money did you really and so it just started. So talking to them, the more I talked to them, every day I saw them, they kind of got me into it because I didn't. One thing I didn't tell you is that my degree is in exercise science and kinesiology. So I was the wellness director there, and that's kind of how I had the relationship with the residents. And so just talking to them and through them, and it was just always finances, and stocks and bonds. And I knew that I wanted to pursue something else. I just wanted to learn, though. I knew I was financially illiterate. So
Wow, so you kind of shed a lot there, and there's a lot that can kind of be broken down, in that particular delivery and everything. One thing that's, really just kind of a light bulb that went off in my head, just based off what you were saying is, just the gap, in terms of learning that's affecting minority communities, and it's kind of like you just had the wherewithal, and the ambition, to pursue, the goal to becoming financially literate, but, that kind of just came from, the level of information and also lifestyles that you were exposed to. But, as a financial professional, how do you strive to bridge that gap to minority communities that aren't privy to this particular level of financial information?
yeah, that's a good question. I usually just start with the basics, lead with the basics. So once a month right now, I've been doing it since July of 20, what is it, 21 or 20? I think it was July of 22. I've been serving at this local community here, and one of the missions of the nonprofit is to help break generational poverty, right? And so once a month I go in there and I talk about different things. I talk about saving, I talk about budgeting, I talk about investing, I talk about just all the different financial tools that we have, but maybe people don't know, right? Or the different things that you could do, the different tips and tricks on how to save and how to invest, or where to invest, or what to like as far as debt, which debt should we pay down first, etc. And so I think the first thing is the information, and then after, and you start with the basics, right? So it's the information, you start with the basics, and then after that it's really about implementing it. So that's the hardest thing, is implementation, execution, because I've noticed that a lot of people, especially minority communities, have the information, but then sometimes we need our hands held, which is fine, which is okay, because it's like it's scary. We've never done this before. We've never, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't know what this stuff means. How can I trust you? And so I understand the hesitation, but it comes down to execution, learning the information, learning basics, and then executing on those basics.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And even just kind of going off of that, what are some practical, steps that you would advise people to, start just implementing on a daily basis in order to kind of just, get the ball rolling, whether that be, starting off just building up the savings, and like I said, I'll let you advise regarding that.
Yeah, I would start, like, the very first thing my wife did was we budgeted. So she was working, I was working. We never like it's funny. I always tell people in college, my accounts was always in the negative. Like all my accounts are in. I'm like, dang, how's my account in the negative? Dang, why am I? So obviously in college you're making the least amount of money ever, right? You're in college. School should be first. You're not really making as much money as you're probably spending in college. You're probably spending more money than you're earning in college. And so I had a credit card, and I didn't know, why would the money that I have be in a negative because I'm spending? I didn't. It just, it was that financially illiteracy. And so I was like, all right, the first thing that we did when we got married was we budgeted. We understood what was our income, what was our gross income, what was our net income after taxes, after deductions. And once we started to get a handle on that, I mean, we're coming up on year 5, and we've been budgeting every week, every 2 weeks. Like, it's crazy. Like, I mean, we started doing it, and so it's just like building a muscle. You just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Now we're in the maintenance stage of, this is just what we do. It's just a part of our life and our household. And so I would start with budgeting, man, just understanding, because most people don't. Most people don't do it. They
Right, right.
So yeah, that's what I would start
Okay.
with.
For sure. And even just, based off you guys, like I've heard different formulas for the budget, whether it be like, I think it's like 10, 30, 60, and some other ones. Like,
Mhm.
what's the particular formula that you all utilize?
Yeah, so it changes. It change. See, that's the thing too, where it's like, this personal finance thing, it changes based on our seasons, based on what's going on. So like when we first got married, we both were working, no kids, obviously. So our budget looked a lot different than when we were expecting a kid. When we were expecting a kid, our budget looked different. So I would say to start off, there really is no right or wrong way. Some people lead with the 50-30-20. So the 50 is your needs, the 30% is your wants, and then your 20% is savings or debt, paying down debt. And so some people lead with that. Another one I've heard is the 80-10-10, where 80% is everything, 10% is savings, 10% is debt, if I remember correctly. But those are the two that I've seen. But like I said, depending on your season of life, it changes, right? If you have debt, your percentages are going to look different if you don't have any debt, right? If you have an emergency fund saved up, your percentages may look a little bit different than if you don't, right? Because you're trying to work towards that save. So I think it just really depends on what season of life you're in, and it probably will change. But as long as you're making progress, I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess kind of just going off of that, I feel like, sometimes, especially regarding finances, it can just look so daunting, especially if you're in a dire situation and you're, trying to claw your way out of a tremendous amount of debt or something like that. Like I said, obviously, this is what you do for a living. So you work with various different clients and things of that nature on a day-to-day basis. Can you just kind of share some of those success stories that you may have encountered, that could, possibly serve as inspiration to someone that, may be wondering, can this happen for me?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with numerous of people that made a ton of money, made a decent amount of money, but didn't have any money left over. And so one exercise that I like to do is I like to see, what are we spending money on? What are our essential needs, and what are our wants, what are our goals? Do they kind of correlate? Do they go together? And I've seen people, or I've worked with people that didn't have any budget, didn't have any plan, didn't have any goals, and I've basically sought that out of them. Like, all right, now they have values, now they have goals. And when I say values, I mean, like, all right, what do you want to accomplish with your money? Right? Because it's different from person to person, right? That's why it's called personal finance. So what's valuable to me may not be valuable to you. But yeah, what's valuable to that person? Second, what are your goals? Do you want to save for a child's college education? Do you want to pay down your debts? Do you want to buy a new house? Do you want to buy a new car? Whatever it may be. Do you want to go on vacation three times a year, 6 times a year? And so I've seen people, or I've worked with people that didn't have a plan, to now, oh, okay, I do understand to create a like I need to create a budget first, and then I need to have my goals correlate to my budget, right? And I need to spend less than what I make, and I need to create a plan on what my money is going to do for me, right? Because every every dollar is a worker. So that's how I like to look at it. Like, we went to work, now we got to put our dollars to work for us. So I would say just a lot of people coming in, not having plans, having no direction, being financially illiterate, and then after meeting with me, after just consulting with me, having a plan to go out there and just execute like I started with. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's up. Definitely, just important, to kind of just like you were saying, just start implementing that plan and everything like that, So, and even just to kind of go off of that, I kind of just want to touch back for a minute. You mentioned how you were, an exercise science major, working at the retirement home in the field of wellness and things of that nature. What was that pivot? What was that career transition like to get into this particular field?
yeah, it was kind of a funny one because I started working at the retirement community of, what was it, August of 2018, and I ended up so halfway through that though. they had a new executive director at the retirement community. So long story short, I didn't work specifically for the retirement community. I worked at, it's called the National Institute for Fitness and Sport. So we call it NIFS for short. But I worked for them, but it was in a corporate role. And so halfway through it, the retirement community got a new executive director. New executive director came in, clean the house. He came in firing everybody. And so it was kind of a bittersweet moment because he essentially fired the people that I was working for the retirement community, right? But he wanted me to sign on and work under the retirement community. And just a lot of counsel, a lot of me just think like it's funny too. So the guy that I started working in the financial basically the guy that I started working in the financial industry with, he did exercise science too, but he had had a stint at Edward Jones and then he was now at Thrivent. And I kept asking him, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, or what's this about?" Or, I was just interested because like I was telling you, the residents and us getting married, me just obviously us just creating budgets and paying down debts and just starting to save for the, just I was into it. I had a good high, and so the transition was in April of 2020. The contract ended, and so it was either go work for this financial place that you have no idea about, or stay where you're comfortable. And so I decided to take a leap of faith and was just like, yeah, let me go ahead and make this pivot. The executive director, it was funny because he always talked about, it's not always greener. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it was definitely greener. Like I definitely made the right decision.
Right, right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it was. It was cool. It was a good moment.
Uh, yeah, that's what's up. So I guess I'm curious, sometimes people may have a job, whether it be in finance,
Hmm.
insurance, whatever the particular industry may be,
Hmm.
but for a lot of people, it just seems to be just a job,
Hmm.
and not anything that they really may contribute,
Hmm.
outside of their particular 9 to 5, but just
Hmm.
from what I've seen from afar, and even, with the various different LinkedIn posts and things that you
Hmm.
make pretty often,
Hmm.
it seems as though you have a strong passion for this particular work, and have really started to kind of carve out a personal brand surrounding this particular industry. So I guess if you could just kind of speak about that, where that came from and what's the ultimate goal surrounding that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy because growing up, nobody talked about money. Like I said, I was financially illiterate. My grandma had a or she still has a business. She has a childcare, in-home childcare business, and that was the most, like, as far as from a financial, I don't know if you want to call it wellness or just that was a financial positive thing that I saw, but I really didn't know anything about it, right? And so my mom, obviously, like I said, she had me at 14. I think she had all four of us by the age of 22, and she was really on, welfare. We was really in poverty, and so it's just I think my biggest thing was I wanted to, one, obviously we was, like I said, we was getting married, and so a big motivator was like, "Oh shoot, boys divorce over this money thing." I'm like, let me learn about this. Like, people fight about this thing. Let me learn, because like I said, in college, my stuff was in the negative, so I didn't have any knowledge. I didn't have any drive. I just would just go out and I mean, you was never taught it, and so my biggest thing is preaching financial literacy, but also stewarding. And so stewardship. And so the biggest thing for me is, all right, I want to be the CEO, the CFO of my own household. I want to understand these financial things. But then on the flip side, I want to make it to where this month, like, I don't want to be a rich slave, right? I don't want to be somebody that only, like, my whole being is based on money. I want to be able to save it. I want to be able to give it. I want to be able to invest. I want to be able to just basically be a good steward of what I've been temporarily given, right? Because it's going to be gone one day. It's going to be passed down to somebody else. And so I think the biggest thing for me is my goal is to help other people now get that, like, get it, like, start the business, right? Start that business, um, start that side hustle, work up the corporate ladder if that's what you choose to do, whatever it may be. But I also want people to know, like, I've seen people have money and be lost, and I've seen people don't have money and be lost. And so I think the thing for me is like I want you to be financially literate, but also don't want you to just be out here just merely existing and not living. And so that's my biggest thing personally.
Right. Yeah, that's what's up. I mean, I feel like, education, is definitely key, just regarding, this particular subject, and I feel like there's a lot of people, that are definitely making strides, in this particular space, whether, definitely shout out to, the guys like Anthony O'Neill, the Earn Your Leisure podcast and, some of those sorts. But I think just for the longest, it was a topic that was just so mundane, and really just I think the verbiage and things was kind of turning so many people off. So like I said, definitely commend you for what you're doing, man. Like I said, just from what I've seen on LinkedIn, various different things of that nature, it's you delivered in a way that it's easy to digest, and also is educational at the same time. So yeah, definitely shout out to you for that. But I mean, even just in addition to that, as we begin to wrap up soon, can you kind of just let the people know what else you may have going on, how they can connect with you, and just various
Yep.
different things of that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I guess so what I do right now, so my 9 to 5, what I do now is I support 3 planners. I'm in a role to where I'm a financial planning analyst, right? So I'm analyzing tax returns. I'm analyzing the financial plans that we create for people. I'm analyzing cash management as far as retirement assets, non-retirement assets, analyzing Medicare insurance, long-term care insurance, um, analyzing just Social Security, all those different things that you would think about from a retiree standpoint. I'm working. That's what I do 9 to 5. This first tax season, so I was doing so from 20 when I first started working in 2013 to essentially now I've been doing my own taxes outside of 2 years, but for probably about 10 years I did my own tax. So this year was my first year that I started doing other people's taxes. So I learned a lot doing that. It was a funny experience, but it was. I mean, I've done, like I said, I've done my own taxes, but doing other people's taxes is kind of funny. But that's what I did from end of January to April 15th. So we just got done last week. So yeah, that's what I'll probably be doing every tax season as well. And then on the side, I do financial consulting. So I consult with people one on one. That's what I do outside of my regular 9 to 5. And so, like you said, that you keep bringing up LinkedIn, something that I initially it was a selfish thing, right? Me getting into personal finance was a selfish thing initially, and I really didn't see the value until I really didn't see the value until I started seeing other people doing it. Like, man, like people are making impact, sharing this knowledge. And I'm like, man, I'm working with millionaires every day. I'm working with all these people with all these different assets and just what did they do to build wealth and et cetera, et cetera. I was like, I think I'm doing people a disservice of keeping this information to myself. And so one thing I've been doing, I think for like 2.5 months now, is I've been posting almost every day, 1 to 4 posts a day on LinkedIn. Just throwing seeds out there, really, just trying to build a muscle, and just trying to produce some type of content. And so I've been doing that on LinkedIn, but I've also been doing it on X, which was obviously Twitter. So I've been doing that, X and LinkedIn. And then about a couple of days ago, actually, I started doing stuff on Facebook. And so just trying to get more eyes, trying to get more people to tap in. And yeah, like I said, people know that I've been doing this for a little bit now, going on 4 years. But I think I can really just help people in general, man, whatever it may be. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like I said, I know we're getting close on time, but I just got one more question. Like, just curious to know, like, what's kind of been the response, just from that output.
Yeah. I mean, people DM me on LinkedIn, appreciating me, saying, I've seen your posts, I've seen people in person in real life, like, hey, I've been seeing what you've been posting, and I think people appreciate it. It's been good. Recently had somebody commented. the other, I think it was yesterday, just about, where do I go for this or that. I was talking about like saving or something like that, and so it's been good. The response has been good. I think people have been just listening, and I mean, it's like I said, it's really me building a muscle. It's me building something that I want to build on the side and what I want to make it, and so that's kind of why I've been kind of venturing out and speaking a little bit more. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up. Hey, Navarrus, definitely appreciate you coming on the show today. Sharing your insight, sharing your knowledge. For those in the audience, you see how you can connect with him. His email is Navarrus Hale 1 at gmail.com. Yeah, feel free to connect, send him an email, connect with him. Also believe it's the same name on LinkedIn, and is it under Navarrus Hill for Twitter and Facebook as well?
Yep, Navarrus.Hale. Yep, and Navarrus Hale on
Okay,
Facebook. Yep.
okay, Navarrus. Okay. All right. Well, people, that's a wrap. Again, shout out to Navarrus for coming on today. We definitely appreciate him. Get in contact with him, and he has you covered. If you need any type of consulting or anything regarding your financial situation. So that's a wrap, folks.